Hello and welcome to your Friday edition of the CCN podcast. I'm your host, Paul Medore. That was a brief snippet of the song Get the Hell Out by 22 Hertz, the first song to be imprinted on the blockchain. Today is Friday, June 5th, 2015. The price of Bitcoin is, as Venzin Kozin puts it, winding in correction, standing at about $220 still. In this episode, I interview Shane Park of coinplay.io, a website much like Humble Bundle, which has very crypto roots, beginning as a Dogecoin company. But first, some news. Ben Lotsky's Bit license has finally been completed and released as promised, although it was a few days after the end of May. Now, wasn't it, Mr. Lotsky? Lotsky has promised to leave the New York Department of Financial Services by the end of June to start a company which will now help companies navigate the regulatory waters which he is leaving behind him. As reported in yesterday's edition of CCN by Joel DeLace, KNC Miner, the Swedish firm, is breaking the Bitcoin mining record. They have come out with a 16 nanometer processor, and I wanted to bring this up because KNC Miner, as I reported myself just a couple months ago, really left a lot of former customers in the dust. Failed to deliver to many of them, failed to refund still others, and yet here they are producing all this new technology and making all this money and likely going to get their hands on a great deal of Bitcoin. But the real question is, how are they paying for this? What I can tell you is that the company is facing a class action lawsuit led by a Stockholm law firm in a country where fraud is punishable by prison time and also loosely defined. In any case, this development, their new technology, has led some in the Bitcoin community, such as developer Luke Jr., to ask a simple question: isn't it time for an algorithm fork? Because the thing that keeps Bitcoin secure is its decentralized nature. And if one group can essentially centralize mining, we may be in trouble. And that's all for the news. Now here's my interview with Shane Park of coinplay.io. On the line here with Shane Park, the CEO of coinplay.io, a game sales company that is very oriented to cryptocurrencies. Did you say you started with Dogecoin, Shane?
Yeah, that's right. We started with Dogecoin around, it was I think March of last year when things started getting amped up with that currency, and there was a moment where I said, why not Dogecoin for games? And I think the community at the time on Reddit, they were petitioning all sorts of companies to accept Dogecoin, and I figured, why not just try it myself?
Why not just start a company for that reason? That's when you guys started in March last year?
Yeah, that's when I would say, started the groundwork for it. I mean, we didn't even know what we were going to be called at the time or how difficult the whole process was going to be. So it was myself and one partner, and he had built the original back end for it, and we didn't even do any conversions at the time. We did it all through, I don't remember what API he was using at the time, but we weren't doing anything to fiat, and all we were doing was accepting Dogecoin, and we only had one game from one developer.
But you were able to make it work. I mean, at least I guess pay for itself.
Well, yeah, so the day we launched was May 14th, 2014. And we were up for about, I think, 48 hours. And then we've had all sorts of downtime since then, just because we both had full-time jobs and families, and trying to figure all that out and create a company at the same time was just kind of a crazy thing for us.
Right, especially when there's quite a lot of risk involved. What's your background? What made you want to start a game company?
Well, my background's I'm actually an accountant by day. And the whole game company thing was just, it was the whole Dogecoin thing, and I figured we could just try it. Uh, as we were getting into it, I think that's when I learned how the whole industry sort of worked. I had a very small idea. And then when I started contacting game developers, I realized that for most of them, accepting cryptocurrency and especially Dogecoin, since that was, even smaller than Bitcoin, wasn't really much of a value to them. Um, but now I think it's turning around a little bit. There are some developers that we've talked to who know of it. And then one thing we started doing was actually um, paying developers in Bitcoin as well. So we accept it for the most part. We convert it to fiat, but there are a few that have signed a contract with us that said they'll accept Bitcoin.
So that saves you from having to convert it, and it saves them from having to lose any value. So I see now that you accept all major payment methods. So you upgraded, and you accept Litecoin as well, and still accept Dogecoin. I guess you probably go through one of the payment processors to do that with GoCoin, I guess.
Yeah, it's GoCoin. So they do, I guess, what some people believe are the three main cryptocurrencies: Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Dogecoin. Um, and that's yeah, GoCoin is the most convenient to be able to do all of that and be able to convert to fiat as well.
Are you still mostly getting crypto business?
Cryptocurrency sales are in the far minority.
Still, huh?
And
Wow.
yeah,
Okay. Even though you started sort of for that reason, was to start a company for that would help people buy their games for Dogecoin because they were clamoring for it at the time, correct?
mhm.
And even despite that, the majority of your sales are going through Visa and MasterCard now, huh?
Yeah. In fact, we when we started to accept credit cards was around November of last year. Um, and between November and before that, when we had the other launch, there was just a lot of downtime, and I got into a startup incubator with this company as well. And so through them, they basically said, I mean, if you're a business, you're accepting all money. And I was like, you're right. There's no reason for me to not accept credit cards and to only do cryptocurrency, because the whole point is that I have a business and I'm trying to make money for developers, and limiting myself isn't beneficial to anyone. So when we started to accept credit cards quickly became the majority of sales. And just recently we accepted PayPal, and PayPal actually is beating all the others.
Right. Well, PayPal is often enough a credit card, but for whatever reason, people feel safer using it, I think.
Well, I think people have a convenience and safety sometimes are thrown together for a lot of consumers. Cryptocurrency by far it would be the safest if you want to look at it that way, but the safety is that you manage it.
Oh, I meant safer than a regular credit card. Uh,
Oh,
Not safer than crypto. Obviously, crypto, there's no privacy lost. You can almost, if you don't need, like in the case of a donation, you can give totally false details. It's just like giving a cash donation. How are sales like in general? I mean, I know you said that credit cards and PayPal have far dwarfed cryptocurrency sales, which I guess is to be expected. But how would you say you guys are doing in comparison to other businesses that do a very similar thing? Thinking of like Humble Bundle, which I believe I don't know. I'm not a huge gamer, but I think they accept Bitcoin or something. Don't Is that true?
yeah,
Uh,
the majority of the big companies like Humble Bundle, Green Man Gaming, and then there are a few others. They all accept at least Bitcoin. And I mean Coinbase and BitPay are pretty big. And now that Stripe accepts it, I think that paves the way for a lot of companies to accept Bitcoin. For us, we materially started doing business, I think, around March of this year. We relaunched the store. I picked up a couple employees, one in November of last year and then one at the beginning of this year, who started helping me add developers and build out a new store. Because before that, with my previous partner, things didn't go too well. And so I ended up trying to do everything myself with third party applications. And that was just kind of not working out. So when we relaunched the store this March, um, that's when we started seeing, I would say, some decent sales. Um, we have one game, Neo Scavengers, that does pretty well, um, and we've started experimenting with like flash sales, and we launched our first bundle this Monday. And so those two selling strategies are doing far better than just the store itself, because when you have a choice for one game, I mean, the choice is almost limitless for gamers. But when you have unique sales or a bundle of sales that have a bunch of games that you may or may not own, or you're looking for that one game at a great price, those are doing well.
It's a value proposition.
It's $3 for 5 games, and then add another. So $3 for 5 games, $4 for eight, and then 10 games you get for $5.
So that's a really small amount of money for video gamers, especially they're willing to spend a lot. So of course they'll take a chance on that, I would say. So yeah, I can see how that's doing well for you. So in your marketing strategies, is accepting Bitcoin an important thing anymore, or is it just kind of like you said, we do that because we want to accept as many ways for people to pay as possible?
When we do a lot of social media posts, and most of our, I would say, cryptocurrency marketing hangs to Twitter, just because you can hashtag certain things. On Facebook, audiences are more fickle. They are more wanting entertainment versus being sold to. Twitter is just a fast news cycle, so you can just pump stuff out without too much backlash. I post on our Dogecoin every so often, and then we post on game deals on Reddit as well, and then we make mention what our payment methods are. Every once in a while, you'll get someone who makes fun of cryptocurrencies, but I think a lot of us are just kind of used to that.
Yeah, you're going to see that anywhere, and that's actually a good sign, I think. If you're touching, if you're edging into those corners of the internet or in the culture where you've got people who are still brushing it off, that means you're in neutral ground, rather than people who just take it for granted. Speaking of, how did you get involved in cryptocurrencies? You're an accountant, so I guess money matters are going to pop out at you, but tell us about that.
I probably first heard about it around maybe like 2011. I think a buddy of mine was doing some mining, and he had put a bunch of money into graphics cards and stuff at the times, because you could still do it then. It wasn't until probably 2013, was it? Yeah, late 2013. That's when Dogecoin came around.
Right,
Another
November, I think. November.
Yeah, November. Yeah, something like that. A friend of mine told me about, talked to me about Bitcoin a little bit, and I think the price was hovering around $1,200 at the time. And I just kept track of it, and one day it was like $400. I woke up and it was just, and I was like, you know what? I want to be part of this history. I'll buy one Bitcoin just to say I have it. And then, I told my friend, and he's like, well, you should look into some other altcoins, and those are completely new to me. So he told me about Feathercoin, Litecoin, and Dogecoin, and so I checked those out. And Dogecoin was the one that got me really interested. And since it was pretty new, I started doing mining with some video cards, and I just got swept up into that community. And I've been interested in cryptocurrency as more of a social movement than I'd say financial. I think there's just a lot of applications for blockchain technology, and money is probably the least interesting to me, just because you can transact anything as currency, but what it does to society, that's the bigger impact, I think.
Dogecoin, their community is particularly notable, for the things they've been able to do in a short period of time. Everybody knows about the race car that they sponsored for 3 races, I think. They've got the rover race. I don't know if you know about that. They've got, the mini rovers on the moon. That's happening later this year. That was all funded, by Dogecoin. So yeah, and I think that out of all of them, Dogecoin still has a pretty strong community. And actually, I'll just point this out for our listeners. Out of all the major cryptocurrencies, Dogecoin has had the stablest price over the past 6 months. It may not be a high price, but it has been steady where it is, without too extreme variation, which isn't what investors like. They like volatility, but the way for the last 6 months, actually, Doge has been a lot stabler than Bitcoin, Litecoin, or Feathercoin, or any of the others you could name.
What's remarkable about Dogecoin is, I mean, it started off as a joke, and to many people it still is, but it's been resting in the top 10 of market cap for cryptocurrencies ever since it first edged in there. And so
Right.
to think that it still has that sort of prominence, I mean, it's funny, and it's also, maybe tell something of the future, who knows, but it is an interesting thing.
Well, and the creator recently, forsook all crypto, I guess. He's upset there's too many, I think he said, white males involved in cryptocurrency or something like that. Which, I don't want to get into that so much, but the community took on a life of its own. It's not like he can kill the coin just by saying whatever he said. And he started it as a joke. The Doge meme, I think, he existed before Dogecoin, but I'm pretty sure that Dogecoin has kind of expanded it. And then there's you. You started a company because you saw a community of people that were willing to spend money on a certain good, and they were willing to spend Dogecoin. And so you said, okay, I'll make that happen and see where I go. So where do you see the future of your company?
Well, for us, I mean, we're a small startup. I think I said that we're a team of three. We're all remote. We all have full-time obligations. I mean, I've got kids, and so for us, it's to keep pushing. Like I said, I was in a startup incubator. My last class, or official, I guess, graduation, if you want to look at it that way, was last December. But I do have mentors who help me out in trying to figure out where to go next. And for us, right now it's analyze the data from this bundle, which ends on June 15th. And then we have another one that we're building for July. And if we can build any more in between, then great. But it's to continue that and then see how to, maximize how big it can be.
I want to thank you, Shane. Everyone, check out coinplay.io for very competitive deals on current games. They accept Bitcoin, Dogecoin, and Litecoin. And as you just heard, the co-founder and CEO is very much a crypto enthusiast. Thank you, Shane, for your time.
Thank you, Paul.
Have a great day.
You too.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this edition of the CCN podcast. This podcast is released every Wednesday and Friday. For up-to-the-minute cryptocurrency news, always check ccn.la first. For more about me, phm.link. For any comments or requests, email me at paul.madore, MADORE, at cryptocoinsnews.com. Going to close this episode with the full song Get the Hell Out by 22 Hertz. It's an important song to us because it is imprinted on the blockchain. Be sure to check them out at 22hertz.com. That's the numbers 22hertz.com. And thanks to them for letting us use the song. Check out my recent interview with 22 Hertz on CCN either today or tomorrow. Thank you again and have a great weekend.